We good?
Very good.
What's up, fam? We got a new machine, a 22, I guess as base model as you can get. I guess this color costs a little bit of money to get, but we kind of wanted to see what was new with the 22s. I figured they would make a change, and they did make some changes. We knew of some suspension stuff. We knew the tires, obviously. It kind of seems like they deleted the catalytic converter. Just swing over here, Joey. So it doesn't look like it's a cat. Very odd. The tune is different. The OEM tune from Can-Am is a different file. We already got that pulled out of the ECU though, and we're ready to rock. So double shear toe link was talked about and is new for this model. And they beefed up the I guess the toe plate, everyone calls it. Added 4 more bolts to it to try to keep that from shaking around. I mean, other than that though, as far as we can tell, it's all pretty much the same. They no longer sell them with the Visco front diff. They all come with the smart lock. So, which is pretty cool. You know, obviously we're gonna put some seat belts in this thing, but we're basically gonna rock it out as long as we can, pretty much stock. We're gonna use this machine for some new development. We have new turbos coming out for Polaris and Can-Am, and to kind of fill the gap between the green and the XR42. There's always been, like, the packages always work out pretty good. The greens basically maxes out, you know, our 3-bar map sensors in that 30 pounds of boost range, and it maxes out 1050s on the 85. The next step is 4-bar and 1300s, which we max those out. I mean, we do max them out pretty easily on the bigger turbos, but I think it's going to match really well with this in-between turbo. And we're changing up some stuff in the way we tune them. So the 21RR development has opened up opportunities for us to flash these in other ways. So we obviously, everyone knows we use the DynoJet. We're going to be doing like bench flashing. So if someone wants the simplest tune possible, they want to send their ECU to us, we put a tune in it, send it back to them. We're going to offer that. We're only going to offer that on stock injector tunes. So 150, 60, 70. 195, and then obviously the 21 stuff. And then we're going to offer it on the Pro XP. And then the other new device we're going to use is HP tuners. So we've been kind of playing around with this thing. This is like, I don't know what you want to call it, like a higher tier version to tune the car. We can sell a more affordable version. We're going to go into way more detail. It might happen during the videoing of this car, but currently this is just kind of a new option we're going to offer. But I guess the main goal of this car is to kind of rename all of our tunes off the new dyno and verify everything's working great with HP tuners, our bench flashing situation, and a DynoJet. I wouldn't say there's confusion because the name's kind of stuck, but the 150, the nomenclature on all of our tunes were built on the DynoJet. On our DynoJet chassis dyno, which is now replaced with our, you know, Centroid A560 XL port block, so we can do cool billet stuff and do more of our higher end engine stuff in-house. That dyno does read a bit differently than the main line. So we're gonna kind of start over. We did that test a long time ago. OEM improvements have changed, even though they haven't really like released it to the public, right? I mean, this car is still considered a 120 horsepower model with the 2020 revised intake box, which we know adds power, and now it seems like they don't even have a cat. So it'd be really interesting to see how this new tune acts versus the old one. So we're gonna do a couple baseline pulls. So everybody knows the 22 RRs had a clutch change. They switched to the P drive, like snowmobile style clutch. This machine, the base model, still have the OG 6-arm, all aluminum housing. They don't have the steel sliders. Clutch, the arms look the same. I don't think they did any clutch calibration change for that. So we're gonna do a baseline pull, probably 3-4 baseline pulls to get it, to get a really good baseline for all the things we do going up. And then we're gonna flash the WS150 today. And we're only gonna do all of our tuning with the HP tuner stuff. And we'll do, it's getting kind of late. Might be able to fit in the 160 today, just put an intercooler and some charge tubes on it. And then we'll do the 170 likely tomorrow. So, thank you. First pull.
It's more than advertised.
Recording, yeah. 3 pulls within a horsepower. Yeah, within a horsepower. Looks like it makes about 9 pounds of boost. We got the machine with like a little bit of fuel, but we put 5 gallons or 6 gallons of 93 octane in it. But we've done another 2020 120 model. I think it made almost exactly the same power. So, it's interesting they underrate them, but I guess the interesting part is the gains we get from here. But I don't know why they don't advertise them as anything other than a 120 model. It's kind of weird. All the modifications that have happened, I mean, the cat, we haven't seen a cat really hurt horsepower at this low of a level anyway. I mean, we normally just leave the catalytic converters in there. I mean, it really isn't like a huge difference until you start making some serious power anyway, but yeah, I mean, I'd say they should rate them, but it just keeps it simple, I guess, for advertising. It's just always been a 120 horsepower model. The turbo R's were always 172s, no matter if they're 17, 18, 19s or 2020s or 2021s. So, and we know those make more power. But yeah, so I'm gonna work on the 150 tune and we'll load this thing. And I would guess the new tune name is gonna be the WS160. I think it's to make 160 horsepower with tune it. So we're gonna get to it. Want to talk about it? Yeah. We good? Well, we ran out of time last night, but we're getting to it in the morning. So this is the new logging situation. So, you know, we got all logging, knock retard per cylinder. I mean, a lot of stuff a lot of people don't really care that much about, but it's really good for us to tune it. The logging on HP tuners is pretty good. So, we already flashed it. We adjust crack pressure to like 6 PSI. We're just basically letting this thing warm up. It's at like 127 degrees right now. But it is kind of new. The HP tuners is a bit new, so tables might not be exactly the same between the two of them, but we're gonna look at the data and make sure that everything lines up. Boost pressure wise, I mean, I know that boost is the same, timing's the same, making sure the throttle plate stays open, all the torque limits are out of the way. That's kind of what we're going after here. So we're making a pull here in a second. All right, we made the pull. We made 147 on this pull. Oh, we did another one.
We just did the one.
Oh, we just did one? Oh, okay. So made 147. Looks like we have a 25 horsepower increase at 70 miles an hour. The interesting thing is now we're logging engine speed, where on the stock tune we didn't flash anything. It was just completely stock. And it comes in at like 7,400. And then by the time it gets out here, you kind of watch boost. So the boost target's a little low. We're making 11, 12 PSI. But by the time we're out here, we're at almost 14 PSI, which is kind of what the target is. So this is on stock clutching. So I'm gonna make some adjustments to see if we can get the engine speed up. But the interesting thing is, it definitely seems like the clutch is different. Like something changed in there. Because the stock arms normally have that flick where they go right to 8,000. We're not going to touch the clutching yet, but if the car had a proper clutch in it, it would act a lot different. So I'm going to make just a couple tweaks to the tune to try to get the boost target to be up at 7,400. Try to kind of move it through to get the engine speed higher, and then not only will it make more power with boost, but it should make more power with just engine speed. Let's pull this clutch apart and see what's wrong with it. Pop the clutch off. We are getting some belt slip at the end of the shift. And it's kind of cool to see on a new sheave, like the color change. So that's some slip there. That's probably like right when the power hits real hard. So like first gear, 10th gear, and then like infinitely between 1 and 10. But it looks like everything else is the same. Weights, like the design. It's nice and tight. Which you would hope for on a new clutch. It's kind of weird that the buttons stay in there. There they came out. So they're using the same O-ring button setup. We'll just leave those in there. Same arms. It's like 556 or 656, but they look identical as the old ones. So I heard rumor that the new belt is a lot stickier than the new belt, even though they didn't change the part number, is a stickier belt. So I just wanted to take this apart and take a look at things in here and make sure it's the same. So we're just gonna try to put a world's best belt on it, which has always had the older belt shift characteristic, and see how it acts without changing anything. Just do a belt change. So I think we're just gonna snap this thing back on there and swap the belt.
That was like 7,900, I think, when I saw.
So basically you buy this tune in a world's best belt and you're fucking golden. Yeah, so now it's making some boost. And it'd be cool to see torque requests fall, but charge temp never got hot enough. So like I'm gonna build it so that we make a lot of boost when charge temp isn't that hot, and as boost starts to go up, the boost will fall off.
Okay.
So we got the 170 degrees at the end of that pole.
Charge tempted?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely quite a bit more now.
Yeah. Try another pole. That's what I was hoping for.
That is pretty nice.
Comes in 7,900. It actually shifts pretty damn good, to be quite honest. I mean, it's hard to sell a clutch kit I mean, within reason, it's hard to sell a clutch kit with this particular situation when it shifts so smooth and good. You know, 7,900, it flares a little bit like 8,000 at the end, but you know, if you had some big tires or you're in a like certain situation where your car was not hitting target, then I guess that's when I would start really looking at it. But I mean, say it's probably time. Maybe do one more poll just to verify that it repeats. I'll get the data on it. Go ahead. Cool. The next step to this adventure is the 160 tune, basically adding the intercooler and making this a tuned 2017 Turbo R. The difference between the 160 and the 170 is basically the fuel pump, which we're going to add afterwards. But this is our CNR intercooler. It's pretty trick. We've been running this for quite a while now. They did change marketing brands, I guess. Now they say Power.
It was supposed to say they're etched with our logo. But.
My logo will be on it?
Some of them, the newer ones are.
Oh, the newer ones will be?
The newer batches.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so they're gonna have our logo on them. And then we also use a pretty BA brushless intercooler fan. So a big issue when we put the bigger fans on is when the fan does come on, it draws so many amps that it drops the voltage in the system. So you'll see it in the data logs, it'll be 13s, 14s, the fan comes on, it'll drop potentially even below 12 volts. We're kind of limited to the amps available in these Can-Ams, especially when you add accessories. So the brushless fan was a nice upgrade to lower overall amp draw, and it's a soft start. So when it turns on, it spins slow and then will spin faster with time. We've tested this fan quite a bit. We've adjusted our intercooler settings overall to have it come on during the pull, because it does, because of the soft start, it is, it does take a little bit of time for it to actually start removing heat from the intercooler. So we just adjusted all the tunes around this fan, makes the other fans, like the brushed style fans, come on sooner, but it's no big deal. But James is gonna get this thing installed and we're gonna flash it with the 160. Well, I don't know what we're gonna call it after today, but obviously the 150 actually made 160. I'd guess the 160 is gonna make in the 170 to 175 range, and then the WS170 is gonna make closer to 200, just based off what we've seen. So.
She don't kill though. All in the motor.
It's a real deal tune right there.
Pretty good.
They're maxed out.
That is more than we were expecting for that.
So we got a 21 RR baseline pull. Hold on. 21 RR baseline pull. I mean, so the 21, to be fair, it was a 72-inch wide model, so we got to spin a little more axle. It might have been a little warmer on this day. Let's turn that off. Yeah, so I mean, that's no correction, like no correction at all. So this thing just has a simple atmospheric correction for the weather outside, but uncorrected. The 21 made 1 more horsepower. And then corrected, it made 1.1 more horsepower. I mean, this tune's definitely, 12.1 AFR on gas on 93 octane is boogieing, you know what I mean? But it's pretty low boost in the grand scheme of things. I think the 21 was making like 18 pounds of boost or something like that. 18 or so. But this engine's got higher compression. And then you factor in actually, dialing in the tune. So definitely some nice gains, seeing how simple it is really to take a base model to similar heights. I mean, 21s we know are fast out of the box. Like, they do pretty damn good. My 2020 RR stock definitely didn't make 21 power. The 21, they rate them at 195 out of the box, but I think the 21s basically should have been called the new 22 power, like 200 out of the box, more along the line of that. But my 2020 RR made like 175 stock or something like that. So basically now this lines up, I mean, it's making great power. This lines up, we're gonna work on the 170, which is basically swapping the fuel pump. And I think we'll gain another 10, 15 horsepower easy. If this car makes 205 hub horsepower on a 170, what do you think, Dylan? Calls, people are saying like, can I run a 2018 plus fuel pump? It's not just the pump, it's the whole housing. So this housing has a higher fuel pressure regulator in it. Those run 58 psi ish. These run 65 ish factory unmodded. So the turbo R's get a little bit more fuel flow from the higher fuel pressure. That allows us to run the more boost. So this is still on the stock clutch, which we figured this might be a little bit of an issue, but it's 8,400 or so now. And the boost, because we're limited by injector, we do pull the boost target down a little bit with engine speed. Trying to make as much power at all relative engine speeds from like 7,600 to 8,400. We try to make the same power, but the engine does naturally make a little bit more power. It seems like it's closer to that 7,900, 8,000 range. So we're gonna make another pull just to see, to check the engine speed, but it may be time to do some clutching, or we can try the Ultimax belt. We'll try that. Let's make a rip. Try that stock belt versus the world's best. The world's best is definitely like the most slippery belt, I guess, if you want to call it. And it has very similar shift characteristics to the original belts that came from Can-Am. But like I said, I've heard rumor that these new belts are stickier. They shift a little bit different. I think they did it because the 22s make so much more power. And just the way the clutch is set up, factory in the RRs, with their helix angles, I think that it was probably a good choice to go stickier on the compound. But we'll see how it does. I mean, we're gonna put that brand new belt back on it, the brand new OEM one, and see if it pulls the engine speed down. Definitely lowered engine speed.
The engine like sounds different
With that belt.
You notice how like it just keeps
It goes,
it's like it runs out of gear sooner.
and you can kind of feel the car jot, like it's not smooth.
Yeah.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy. That pulled engine speed right on that. Yep. Way different shift characteristics.
We'll do another one.
tune a clutch for a belt really well, you need to stick to that belt. We just seen a world's best belt, 8,400, finish at 8,300. An OEM belt start at 8,000, just flare up to 8,500. And then an Ultimax basically shift flat, 8,100 on the flare, like on the hit, pulls down to like 7,940 and finish at 8,100. So the belt is huge for like making sure that your stuff works right on time. Let's make it all right. Repeat it.